Sandeep, great speaking with you. It's a pleasure as always having you with us here on the program. So, a good conversation. The market, by the way, is holding on. We've got 9 points on the Nifty, 17,970. Refusing to, give an inch. That's how you describe it. It was very evident yesterday. It's very evident today. As well. Good looking screen, Sonia.
Absolutely. But there is one space that has been in focus, right, for the last 24 to 48 hours. That's the power space. Several states have been debarred from power trading over non-payment of dues. Now, the defaulting discoms cumulatively owe 5,000 crores to Gencos, the highest being in Telangana with 1,380 crores. We have some gentlemen joining in who have been a part of this industry for very long. So let's find out their view. R. Lakshmanan, the Executive Director at REC, and Rajiv K. Mishra, the Director, Marketing and Business Development and Chairman and Managing Director of PTC India, join us now. Gentlemen, morning to both of you and thank you for joining us. Mr. Mishra, I want to start with you. You know, these instances of non-payment of dues have happened several times in the past, right? It's nothing new. What do you think is the long-term solution to this issue?
I think what the government has done since the month of May and June is step-by-step structural changes, which is very much required for this sector. If you remember, in the month of June, the total outstanding by all the state discoms were in the tune of 1,30,000 crore. And during that time, a new rule which emerged, or rather which was brought by the government of India, was the late payment surcharge rule. And that was in the month of 3rd June, it was introduced, which said that all the payment of the discoms will be frozen on a particular date, and then including the surcharges, and that will be paid in installment. And based on that, all the new outstanding as well as the earlier outstanding need to be cleared if the state wants to participate in the short-term market, either in exchange or through some other trader. So that was a decision taken way back in the month of June. And in the month of August, the first installment of the late payment surcharges were released by the two of the central agencies, that is PFC and REC. And that was a major milestone which was achieved. After that, it was expected that all these state discoms will keep clearing their dues so that they can participate in the short-term market. But based on what the outstanding, which you mentioned, more than 5,000 crore, day before yesterday, a decision was taken by POSOCO, who is the nodal agency for this, to debar 13 states, 12 states and 1 union territory, not to participate in the state. But you can understand the impact of it. This was a very, very wise decision, because at the end of the day, 6 of the states could liquidate their outstanding, and they were allowed to participate in the market. So that is a major development. And the other 7 also are trying hard so that they can liquidate this outstanding and they can participate in the market. It is important that market corrections has to be done all the time. Otherwise, keeping an outstanding of so much amount in the market will keep creating pressure not only to the discoms but also to the generators and all the participants in the sector. So structural changes in the market is required, and these are some of the major changes which can bring a lot of discipline and financial prudence in the market.
Good morning, gentlemen. Mr. Lakshmanan, would you agree with this perspective put forth by Mr. Mishra?
Morning. Thanks for having me. In fact, broadly, I would concur with what he had said. In fact, going forward, I think this will bring in a lot of discipline to the overall distribution space, wherein they will have to clear the existing arrears in a defined installments spread over 1 to 4 years, which has already kicked in, and most of the states have honored that. And going forward, again, the current dues have to be paid month on month within the given time frame as per the late payment surcharge rules. Based on which I think action is also being taken by the nodal agencies POSOCO, so which has had an impact, for example, the 13 states which were initially debarred from accessing the power markets. So out of them, 7 have cleared. So they had a cumulative outstanding of current dues of more than 13,000 crores a couple of days back. So which is significantly come down as we stand today at 5,000 crores, which is accounting for the 6 states. So going forward, I think this would be a critical framework for us to adhere to, and this will actually bring in a lot of robustness in the financial health of the entire power sector, and this will also probably bring in more discipline for the state governments and the DISCOMs, especially to clear their regular dues to the DISCOM. For example, the outstanding subsidy arrears and the government power department bills to the DISCOMs, which is to the tune of 1,30,000 crores. So this framework would also push them to regularly liquidate these old arrears also. And in the process, REC and PFC have also supported the DISCOMs so that they can go through this liquidation of arrears with the help of transition financing as well.
Sorry, I mean, just a bit of a layman question, Mr. Mishra. Will this, in what way will this sort of force states to clear past dues, arrears, as Mr. Lakshmanan put it? Could you provide us with some sense of how much of what is outstanding, these arrears, are dues for power, short-term power, power bought through PPAs? I'm assuming it's more the latter than the former, right? Yeah. And barring states from buying power on exchanges only, how much power gets bought off the exchange? So just some fundamental points, sir.
Prashant, let me make it very clear. I mean, all the outstanding what we are discussing are mostly related to long-term or medium-term power procurement. When you are buying power in the exchanges, you have to give it in advance. So states, when they are buying power from the exchanges, they have to give the liquidity in advance. So the outstanding is not in terms of the power which they are procuring from, and that's the irony. Let me tell you what they are buying from the long-term PPAs are at much cheaper rate in the recent times compared to what they are paying in the exchanges. And if they are not liquidating their outstanding, which is cheaper power, and then they are buying at a higher rate from the exchange, which again they have to put through cash in advance, then that's the irony we are seeing. And rightly you pointed out when I said in the month of June, total outstanding was 1,31,000 crore. Most of it was for the long-term PPAs with various IPPs.
What is the...
And very small number on account of some of the credit facilities being provided to the DISCOM for procuring power through the short term or through the exchanges.
So, Mr. Lakshmanan, just can you give us the exact number? I didn't get what is REC's total exposure to the DISCOMs, and the reason I ask this is because in the past few years, banks have reduced their exposure to power DISCOMs, and a lot of the slack has been picked up by REC and PFC. So, the highest DISCOM exposure now is with companies, like REC and PFC. So, Mr. Lakshmanan, your view on so if you can just tell me what is the exposure that REC has to DISCOMs currently, and what do you see as the way forward?
As of June quarter of the current year, our exposure to DISCOMs in terms of outstanding loan book stands at 39%, which is around 1.56 lakh crores. And this number has been roughly in the same range over the last few years, so it has not abnormally increased. So it has been in the region of 35% or one-third of our loan book. It has slightly gone up in the recent few quarters. But most of these additional loans which have come in is in support of the overall power distribution sector reforms which the Government of India is pushing. And this we believe would be overall in the interest of the DISCOM's financial health, and as well as the upstream companies like Transcos and Gencos, where we have substantial exposure. And most of these loans, like if we see the out of the 1.56 lakh crore loans that we have to DISCOMs, more than 50% of them are capex loans which are backed by assets of the DISCOMs, and the rest of the loans, it's around 75 lakh crores, which is towards non-capex loans, which would constitute the liquidity infusion scheme or the LPSC loans or other working capital loans that we have extended. But out of that, around 65,000 crores are backed by state government guarantees, so they are fully secured loans, and around 10,000 odd crores, which is around 14% of the non-capex loan to DISCOMs, that again is secured by the assets of the DISCOMs, which are non-encumbered. So in terms of, apart from the regular escrow mechanism on the revenues of DISCOMs, so we believe with the late payment surcharge rules and the revamped distribution sector scheme, which is again bringing in a lot of pre-qualification conditions on the DISCOMs and the state governments and the state regulators, so which will bring in a lot of transparency and accountability in the way the DISCOMs are operating. So this will overall going forward should improve the financial health of DISCOMs as well as the upstream companies.
Mr. Mishra, you know, that point that you made, it's strange that when the states have so much dues on what long-term contracts and power purchases, they're buying power at more expensive rates on the exchange, spot power. Why do you think that is happening, and what's the basic reason?
If I need to explain the portfolio of a state when they are procuring power, almost 90% of the power is tied up with the long-term PPA and the state-owned generation. So they require around 5 to 10% of the power from which is the shortage from the short-term market or the exchange. So what they generally do is the long-term tie-ups are generally at a reasonable rate, because if I take an average power procurement cost of the country, it is in the range of 4.5. Whereas if you see the recent time, the exchange rates, it has gone up and it is in the range of 7 to 10 rupees average in the last couple of months. So keeping that in mind, you can understand that they are procuring power at a higher rate from the exchange, but to meet the shortfall, that is the last leg, that is 90 to 100%, 90% to 100%, to meet the entire power requirement of the state. Now, the two things can be improved in this is better power planning, and then the second important thing is to bring some kind of a financial prudence when they are buying power from the exchanges or short-term market, that what kind of power they require at what point of time. They need to keep a good understanding of the things, so that the prices should not shoot up to a level which we have seen in the last so many months in the short-term market.
Okay, all right. Thank you for the explanation. Thank you for the details and data. Both of you, Mr. Lakshmanan and Mr. Mishra, we had a bunch of other questions, but we're completely out of time, and we'll perhaps invite you for a focused program on this. This needs more discussion. Thank you very much for now for joining us here on CNBC TV 18. Well, we got the market, which is absolutely flat, 17,958. We'll take a quick break here. We'll connect with the management at Happiest Mind Technologies on the other side to discuss business outlook for them. Stock did very, very well this week. What's happening with that? We are